Okay, guys, welcome back to All Nerd Everything. If you're new here, I discuss everything from movies, TV shows, comic books, wrestling, all that good stuff. And I hope you guys have a great 4th of July weekend. I'm going to be doing the same thing, which is nothing, just bullshitting. Actually, I'm going to go to Barnes& and Noble for the 50% off Criterion sale that they're having during that started at the end of June and ends at the end of this month, which I'm going to go all in on that. I'm going to be a kid in a candy store and I can't wait. But today is July 3rd, which means it's one of my favorite actors' birthday, Tom Cruise, who's had some hits and some misses when it comes to his filmography. He's had more hits than misses, thankfully. And despite, what you think of him, love him, hate him. He makes some pretty damn good films, but like I said, he's also had some, not so good ones. Now, as the title says, I will be going through his, in my opinion, his four worst films and his four best films. Now, before I start with the worst list, I want to say I have not seen Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, and I have not seen The Mummy, and those two are considered like two of his worst in his filmography, which I have, like I said, still yet to see. It's on my list, but when I do watch him, I'll let y'all know how it goes. But to begin with his top four worst films, I wanted to begin with number four, and that is Night and Day, with which is an action comedy film with him and Cameron Diaz, and this is their second collaboration after Vanilla Sky, which is kind of underrated, and that's a remake of a previous film. I can't remember the title of it, but Night and Day is an is a film that Tom Cruise came out with in 2010 to try to get back in. He was trying to get his footing again after that weird, jumping on the couch moment with Oprah and his weird stance on Scientology in like the mid 2000s that was just very random and odd. So this was a film that he was trying to get back into, trying to change his image and clean his image up. And this film, not not the best at all. It's not terrible, but I don't think it's his most interesting action film, to say the least. I would prefer, actually, if you want to, Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz film, just watch, Vanilla Sky over this. Next, for number three, I'm actually gonna have to go with Days of Thunder. Now, this is the second collaboration between director Tony Scott and Tom Cruise, who previously worked on, what is it, Top Gun, which was a huge hit with audience members, but critics kind of soured on it. But thank God that Top Gun, Maverick, pretty much eclipsed everything in the original, story wise and cinematography wise. But Days of Thunder is just, Top Gun with cars. It follows the same exact story beats. It has the same, enemies, the best friends trope that, a lot of movies typically follow. Tom Cruise almost gets killed on the job again. It opens up on cars racing on a hot sunny track, which is the same opening as Top Gun, with planes flying on a hot, on a hot freeway. An inappropriate work relationship in both films. There's a lot of similarities between both of these films. And Days of Thunder, also, the problem with this film is that they went into production with a unfinished script. So a lot of times during the scenes, Tom Cruise had to take a, like flashcards or whatever to the inside of his helmet or his visor, so he could read his lines, because they were writing the dialogue in the action as they were filming the movie. Which why would you go into production? It, why would you go into production of a movie without a finished script? It doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, this one a dud. Next, for number two, I'm going to have to go with Cocktail, which was released in 1988. And this one was this came out the same year that Tom Cruise had a bad film and a great film. The bad film is this, despite it not being received well, it became one of like the third highest grossing films of 1988, which I was very surprised by. And the other good film that came out this year, the same year, is Rain Man, which I'm going to talk about. I love that film. This is in my top 50 favorite movies of all time. But the problem with Cocktail was, well, there's a lot of issues wrong with this film. The marketing marketed this film as a romantic drama. And the problem is that that's the least interesting thing about this movie. I could not care less about it at all. Actually, as a matter of fact, I still would have either cut it out of the story or just make it a small part of the story. And the romance consumes the exact title of this film, which is Tom Cruise playing a bartender, trying to open up his own bar. He plays Brian Flanagan, who comes back home after being from the military, and he's trying to open his own bar and befriends one of the owners of the bar that he works at, or the guy that's trying to that takes him under his wing, and they plan to open their own club together. But also Brian is in college as well and trying to figure out what he wants to do for a living. And that is the most interesting part about the movie, and it lasts for about 30 minutes. And the thing that splits Brian and his boss up is a woman, which of course. And then we do a time jump, an unnecessary time jump within 40 minutes or so, and he's working on a beach in Jamaica for some weird reason. And also, I don't know if he dropped out of college or if he graduated from college. They don't mention that at all. And the stuff with him and his boss, like they suddenly make up and become friends again, despite like his former boss, smashing his girlfriend, which was weird for some reason. Like I said, the romance stuff is the least interesting thing about this movie, and it's just whack. And number one for, in my opinion, his worst film is definitely Mission Impossible 2. Now, fans have chosen to ignore this, and rightfully so. And after such a great setup with the first Mission Impossible, the second one, God, man, if people were to get into this franchise without knowing anything about any of the films, I would tell them to skip this film because it's not worth watching at all. Excuse me. Now, Mission Impossible 2, there's too much slow-mo. The director's style doesn't work with Tom Cruise's action films at all. There's too much slow-mo. It's essentially a romance movie instead of an action film. And we don't get any action in the film until the last maybe 30 or 40 minutes, which is outstanding. I mean, it's incredible, and not in a good way at all. This is one of the few times where I can say I was bored watching a Tom Cruise action film, which, I mean, that's insane coming out of my mouth. Bored watching a Tom Cruise action film? Like, what? Yeah, so that's my list for his top 4 worst films. Now, on to his top four best films. Now, thankfully, he's had more hits than misses. Now, number four, obviously, I'm going to start out with Jerry Maguire. This film is amazing. There's so many quotables in this. He ended up winning a Golden Globe for this film, which he later gave back in protest of people of color not being, you know, being snubbed at award shows. And in my opinion, he should have won his Oscar for this. This and Born on the Fourth of July, which I mean that's a whole nother discussion. But Jerry Maguire has, I mean, it's a classic. I watch this film maybe a couple of times every other month or so. I never get tired of this film. Him and Cuba Gooding have great chemistry together. So, same thing with him and Renee Zellweger. And she actually said that she could barely take out any money from her account before she got this film. And Jerry Maguire is one of the best films when it comes to showcasing healthy masculinity. And also Rod Tidwell, played by Cuba Gooding and Jerry Maguire. I love their friendship in this film, and both of them teaching each other very valuable lessons. You know, Rod teaching Jerry that, you know, that you have to love yourself in order to be in love with someone, which is, you know, Jerry's whole character is that he's too terrified of being alone. They didn't really expand on his daddy issues in this film, but it's obvious that's where that comes from, is that he's too terrified of being alone. So when he meets, you know, Renee Zellweger's character, and they essentially, you know, bond romantically and falls in love with, well, likes her, but he wants to be in love with her, but he loves the kid more than he loves her. And also, I mean, it's a great lesson to learn about. I think this film in itself is just a great lesson to learn about healthy masculinity, and, you know, not rushing into relationships, and, you know, healing from trauma. And also, it's hilarious. I mean, it has so many quotables in this that I don't need to discuss. Next, number three for this film, I'm going to have to go with Rain Man. And I remember when I first watched Rain Man, I think I was just looking for something to watch on TV, and I was just flipping through the channels and came across this, I think, on one of the like higher networks like HBO or like Stars, one of those channels. I can't remember what it was. And I immediately fell in love with this movie from beginning to end. It won Best Picture, and also lead actor for Dustin Hoffman, who was, you know, incredible in this film. But in my opinion, Tom Cruise should have won lead actor, should have been nominated for lead actor, and Hoffman should have been nominated for supporting, because if you really think about it and really watch this movie, Tom Cruise's character is the one who goes through a character arc in this film. And it's damn near incredible. And his relationship with, you know, with Raymond, at first it becomes a very manipulative. At first he's manipulating him so he could just get get his inheritance that he thinks that he deserves from his dad, but realizes that, you know, maybe there's a reason that his dad didn't give him that inheritance, and is just more upset about the fact that he didn't know that he had a brother. In my opinion, if there was going to be an actor nomination, they both should have gotten in for lead for Tom Cruise and supporting for Dustin Hoffman, and you could have gave it to both of them. And this film, I feel like not a lot of people talk about this film when it comes to his best films in his filmography. More people talking about, Magnolia, Eyes Wide Shut, Jerry Maguire, which are all great, but Rain Man, I mean, it proved that he can stand alongside a giant with Dustin Hoffman because people were still getting used to the name Tom Cruise. So Rain Man is a hit, and I love this film. Next, number two, I'm going to have to go with Edge of Tomorrow. It's a sci-fi action film, and it's based on a light novel, which I think it's called Time to Kill. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Tom Cruise in this film plays a man behind the desk, so to speak. And for people that don't think Tom Cruise has range, I would suggest watching this film because he definitely does. I mean, to watch an action film where Tom Cruise is a coward and is terrified of, guns and doesn't want any physical altercations with anyone, especially aliens sent to Earth to kill everyone. I mean, it's truly like, whoa, like, what the hell? Like, Tom Cruise is a badass in his films, but he's playing a coward in an action film? Like, what? It was so far off from the norm that we're used to seeing when it comes to the characters he typically plays. And Emily Blunt in this movie, she's just amazing. I love Emily Blunt. And to give a woman actor the lead in this film and make her seem bigger and more badass than himself was really admiring for him to step back and watch Emily Blunt, kind of like lead the way in this action film, even though she said that she was in a lot of, damn it, a lot of pain wearing those mechanical suits that they had to wear during the shooting of this film. A lot of people are talking about a sequel, but I don't want a sequel. It's better off as just a one off film. And I don't think the kiss between the two was necessary. You could have left that out, but it's still a phenomenal film that showcases women as badass action heroes. And number one for the best Tom Cruise performance, in my opinion, is Collateral. Now, he's mainly on the poster. In 2004 had the best year in films. Second to 99, of course, you had Ray, Man on Fire, The Aviator, this film, Collateral, The Incredibles, Spider-Man 2, Born, Born Supremacy? Born Supremacy. I mean, I could go, Napoleon Dynamite. I could go on and on about how great 2004 was when it comes to film. And Michael Mann, phenomenal director. And in this film, Jamie Foxx, he plays Max, who would go on to play Max Dillon, Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. But nonetheless, Jamie Foxx had two incredible films come out the same year in Ray and Collateral. And technically, Jamie Foxx is the lead actor in this film, but he was, when it came to award season, they put him in supporting because they wanted to nominate him in lead for his Ray Charles performance in Ray. And if they would have had the rule of the same actor being in the same category twice, he would have been in the same category for lead twice for Ray and Collateral, because Collateral, they're technically co-leads. I mean, Tom is mainly marketed as the main lead just because at that time he was, a bigger star and they had to get his name. They had to, promote this film and get it out there. So of course that's why you see the poster with just him on it. But in this film, Max, played by Jamie Foxx, is taken hostage by Tom Cruise character Vincent, who is a targeted hitman. And it's probably one of the best movies that takes place within a day, and it kind of reminds me of Training Day, where it's a complete change in character for Tom Cruise, who's known for playing heroes, just like Training Day was a change in character for Denzel, who's also known for playing heroes. And both of these films are regarded as both actors' best work. Denzel for Training Day and Tom Cruise for Collateral. And one of my favorite scenes in Collateral actually is the alleyway scene where he takes down the drug addicts with that gun move, whatever it was that he did, and that's actually utilized in a lot of police officers actually started utilizing that move because of this movie, which I thought was really dope. So that is my list when it comes to his worst and his best. If I left anything out, or if I should maybe do part two for another actor, let me know. Until then, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to stay updated with more movie, TV show, comic book, wrestling news and reviews.